listening to the Seven Rivers Student Ministry podcast. We believe that all students are lovable through a relationship with Jesus. If you'd like to know more about our ministry, you can visit us at www.sevenrivers.org/students. This is where we engage culture with the gospel shades.
Oh, hey there. Hey, friend.
This is Jason Newayhead, and I'm Mikey Puckett, and we are the hosts of the Culture Cast, and we love talking about culture and the gospel, so we bring them together, and this is what this is. It's amazing. Also, I really like how you start off by talking into the camera as if people are actually in the room with us. We don't have a live audience, but we want you to feel like you're right here with us. So, hello.
Welcome
Welcome to the Culture Cast.
Just get like a sound effect right here. Just clapping.
Exactly. Well, we are going to talk about something that most people, everybody uses this. Everybody's on this. Everybody, to some degree or another, is tapping in.
If you're watching this, you are.
Yeah, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, you're on this specific thing. And we're going to talk about this, and we're going to engage this like huge piece of our culture.
Yes.
And we're going to use the gospel as a way to show and affirm what's good about it and challenge what's maybe wrong in it. And it's all spinning from, wait for it, drum roll please, from an incredible documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma.
The Social Dilemma.
So stay tuned. We're diving right in. Here we go.
The Social Dilemma, Mikey.
The Social Dilemma, Jason.
What is the social dilemma?
I love when you come out the gate with just a solid question.
Yes.
That's just that question. What is?
We're all wondering.
What
is the social dilemma?
So listen, if you are wondering what is the social dilemma, you can go on Netflix. You can pause this right now. Go to Netflix, unless you're driving your car. Go to Netflix. Search The Social Dilemma and then watch it. It's a great documentary. I think it's not too long. It's not that long of a documentary, but it's super fascinating because it talks about this device called the smartphone, which you're using probably right now as we speak. And it talks about this device of the smartphone and this new age of social media and how it's affecting our society, our culture, and how it's changing all the rules and all the stuff. And what's so cool about this documentary and what I love about this documentary is that they bring in these guys that created Instagram, these guys that created Facebook, these guys that created Twitter. They bring in all these people that are part of this whole process of creating this addicting thing called social media. And they interview them and they talk to them all about what went in behind creating social media. And then they talk to them about some of the dark sides of social media. And then at the end of the documentary, this is great. They ask them this question.
What do they ask?
And spoiler alert, Jason, make sure I come back to this question. They ask them, would you let your kids use social media? And so they ask each one of them that question at the end of the documentary. So I will tell you what they say at the end of this. So stick with us. I'll spoil the whole movie for you so you don't have to watch it. But no, you should watch it. You should really watch it because it's really, really good. And so this brings us to kind of something we want to talk about is social media and how that fits in with our culture and things that we can affirm about it. So let's just start there.
Yeah.
We can affirm about social media at the core of what it is. And even these tech gurus, these guys who made this, say this, we just wanted to create something where people could connect with their family, with their friends from all over the world, that they can make connections. And I would like to just say right off the bat with social media, that is one of the greatest gifts of it, is this ability to have relationships.
Yeah, so you're saying the original design of Facebook, MySpace, yeah.
Yeah,
said
MySpace.
Yeah. Instagram
Throwback.
is connection. That was the original intention for social media is connection.
Connection, relationships, to bring people together, to bring people that maybe would never be able to connect in any other time in history together. And it's been absolutely incredible and powerful to see how people are able to connect. I even remember there's another movie called, I forget what it's called, but it's about a guy who finds his like his like, he was adopted and he ends up using social media and using, it might not have been a movie, I think it was like a news article. They use social media to find their biological parents, which is really cool in another country. So like, that's just the power of this thing, is able to connect people, relationally connect people. It's absolutely incredible source of connection, and I really do think it's a way that you can connect, and I've been able to use it as a way to connect. And we have a social media account called Seven River Student Ministry. Follow us, and then and we use that to connect with you guys. We use that to talk to you guys, give you guys information, and direct message and all those things. But Jason, here's the real question: do you have social media?
I do have social media.
So what would you say are things that you like about having social media that is maybe things that we can say is really good?
That's a great question. I think obviously what we just talked about, the connection, like being able to connect with different friends, like see what they're up to. I like learning from social media. You can, I think, learn a lot from what people are doing. So like the learning aspect of, like for instance, I'm really into brewing coffee, and so I look at people who are really good at brewing coffee on their Instagram, and I learn.
You can tell them your Instagram account for it.
Go follow coffee _n_ cooking.
Okay, that's gonna cost $10 for that sponsorship.
I'll pay you later.
Okay, thanks.
Sarah Harris is gonna actually take care of that. Just bill her.
I do agree. You could get so much information. You can learn so much from it. I think you can learn so much of how other people think and all those things, and you're just able to engage in just a special and unique way with people from all walks of life, from you know, any. And I know, like, my grandparents, they loved having social media because they could keep up with all of us, which is really, really, really cool. So they having that ability to be able to keep up with us and connect with us and see our pictures and things like that, they absolutely love it. And I think that's something we can say is good. We are made for a relationship. In Genesis 2, God says it's not good for man to be alone, and so he creates a woman and for them to have relationship. And that's what we're designed for, is relationship. And so these tech gurus, they created social media for the purposes of relationships, and that is a good thing, to have relationships and have connection. And so, like, we don't want to be guys that are saying, like, back in my day I had a flip phone, or back in my day we didn't have all this social media, and act like there's nothing good that's ever come from social media, because there are good things that have come from it. Being able to relate to people and connect to people and understand people, and even learn from other people's perspectives on life, which has been so beneficial to me, and it sounds like to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of benefits of social media.
Right.
So on the flip side, what are the downfalls? What should we be aware of?
So this is where the Social Dilemma gets really, really cool. The documentary. So they essentially, one of the key pieces in it is they talk about how how your phone and how these companies, these advertisers, are creating profiles for you that you don't even know are created about you, like behind the scenes. So there is like a Mikey Puckett, like for advertisers, for them to see a Mikey Puckett profile, and they know how to advertise to me. They have an algorithm for me specifically that is sold, that Facebook is selling, that Instagram is selling, that social media platforms are selling to advertisers, saying, hey, we have the Mikey Puckett algorithm. If you want to sell them a product, you're going to have to pay this amount of money to get this algorithm from us, and then you can now use that algorithm to sell your product to him, or to these people. And so each one of us has this algorithm that these social media companies have created, that they are now selling, and essentially they're selling you. And one of the tech gurus says, if there's something free out there on the internet, or something free, and you got to create a membership or whatever, and you're like, well, what's the product in that? And you're thinking that you're getting a product out of Facebook and Instagram, but actually Instagram and Facebook and those social media platforms, you are the product being sold to the advertisers. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating to realize, oh my goodness, social media has been turned away from something where people relationally connect to each other, and has now been perverted and twisted to a way to actually not only disconnect people, but connect people to people they maybe never wanted to connect to. So you have advertisers that are targeting you based on your specifics and all of these things, and so people are now being kind of sold out as their profiles and algorithms are being sold out, which is not the way that it was originally designed at all. So that is where we're at, like with social media and how it's been twisted, and something that we can maybe push back against is how it's being now used. And it's interesting too, like that they call like when people talk about social media, they call them users. Well, they're using you as the product. Like you are a user of the product, but also they are using you as their product to sell to advertisers. And so
Now,
that is just not how it was designed.
Did the Social Dilemma, did it talk about the switch of how it's like intentional design turned into marketing? And
Well, really what it came down to was financials. So these companies needed to figure out a way to make money, and so they realized that they could make money by selling advertisements on their platforms. And so now you get these advertisements on these platforms, and then this thing that's growing is that these advertisers, they want to target specific groups of people, specific kinds of people, and now they're specifically targeting us, me, the kids, you who are listening and watching. They are targeting you. And so what's even crazy, and so this is maybe a little bit of a rabbit trail, but the documentary talks about how it's been proven that social media can be used to actually change your mind. That is really scary, that social media can actually be used to hijack your brain, and they can send you information, notify you in certain ways, in specific ways. So think about it. Your phone is, if you have notifications on for your social media, they can create ways to buzz you, notify you when something is happening that you maybe never gave it permission to get you on their website, to get them on their platform. And then now they are sending you information based on your algorithm that they think that you want to see, and then they're shifting the way that you think. And so, like, for instance, like this has become a really big deal politically because of censorship, and social media is right now, even in court right now, trying to figure out, okay, so political campaigns are now buying users on social media platforms, using that platform to try to transform people's minds, change their minds, to sell them something, to manipulate them to believe a certain way and think a certain way, which is kind of scary when you think about it. And it's kind of abusive of people, and it's taking advantage of people, and that's just not a biblical foundation or a biblical value. Is to take, one of the things we can say is evil is seeing opportunity, seeing people, and seeing something that is doing something good, and then saying, let's use it to take advantage of and to use people.
And I like how you said the word abuse, because we're talking about connection,
right?
And abuse is a disrupted connection. It's a form of connection, but it's messy, it's sinful, it's wrong, it's, you know what I mean? And so it's connection, but in the level is not equal anymore. The user doesn't have as much power as the network.
Exactly.
So I like how you use that word abuse.
And they go into even the science of it, how it's a dopamine release when you get a notification, and so how it becomes addicting, and that's why I'm addicted. That's why maybe you're addicted. That's why if your phone buzzes, you can't help but just impulsively grab it and look at it. You can't help it. And they know that, and they're using that to actually rewire people's brains to however much they can to be able to sell you as a product to advertisers and to people that are buying you, essentially, which is just absolutely crazy when you think about it. But if you watch the documentary, they make a really great case for it, and they kind of have a really fun way of playing that out. And so that's just something we're going to want to push back. And it's something that's interesting about it as well is social media is actually what we've seen in student ministry, working with students, and maybe you've seen this with your own kids if you're an adult listening to, or maybe you're a kid listening. You have social media, you have all these connections. So, for instance, you might have like a few hundred friends on Facebook or a few hundred followers on Instagram. But don't you feel still lonely, even though you have those connections? Like right now, like look at your friends, like look on your social media platform. And then yet, aren't there still moments when you feel incredibly lonely?
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, we've seen, and scientists have seen, researchers have seen that social media is actually the goal was to create more connection in relationships, but it's actually disconnecting more people from each other. And it's more of a passive way of connecting with people, social media. So it's more of you don't have to be so before social media, in order to connect with people, you would have to like have a conversation. To be able to figure out what's going on in their life, you would have to actually show interest and ask them in person or give them a phone call. Like there would be this element of pursuit, giving in response to that pursuit, and then pursuit back, and then giving back in response. So there's this give and take that is partially uncomfortable and takes time. But now on social media, you're like, oh, I wonder how my friend Daniel's doing. I'm just going to Facebook, look him up, see his recent pictures, and then that's it. Daniel has no idea that I'm thinking about him. Daniel has no idea that I want to know how his life is going, what's going on, or I want to update. And so instead of having to call him, or instead of having to go visit him in Fort Lauderdale,
Mm-hmm.
and connect with him in person, I just go on Facebook, and then Daniel has no idea that I wanted to get to know him. And the same thing, vice versa.
I think like I love phone calls, and so when I call people, like they have no idea how to handle it. They're like,
Right.
what's happening? Why
Right. Yeah.
why is Jason calling me? Like they're like, and it's
Right.
like really awkward on the phone. It's like, hello, like I'm like,
Right.
so it's like I have to like almost like there's a system that's being in place where it's like I gotta text him first, gotta make sure he's available for a phone call. But I do have a lot of people who shout out to Lee Wright. He calls people all the time. He just like picks up the phone, thinks
Lee
about
is
him, and calls him.
RUF guy in Austin, Texas, right? No, San Antonio, Texas.
Yes, San Antonio.
Shout
So
out.
yeah, just trying to be different than what social media is projecting. It's like let's have connections, but like that's not like the whole example of your friend Daniel.
Yeah.
I don't know if Daniel's a real person.
Oh,
or
he's
not.
real. He's a real person. Real
Shout out to
friend.
Daniel too.
Daniel, we love you.
Yeah.
Hearts. Hey, if you want to know what's going on in my life, Daniel, you can find me on Facebook. So, no, it is one of those things that's like, it's so good. It's good to have. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good goal to make connections in relationships. But then what's happened is it's overtaken real relationships in real life, person to person relationships. It's overtaken because it's really easy. It's really casual. It's comfortable. Like to get to know someone on Facebook, it's a lot easier than actually having to get to know them in person. To catch up about their life is a lot easier on social media than to actually put in the work and time and effort to do it in person. And so what it does is it kind of steals our presence. We even see this like when we're having conversations with each other or in a meeting at work or things like that. Like people put their phones out on the desk in front of you.
Oh, sorry, one second.
Oh, yeah. You have an important text notification on this again. Okay.
Oh,
okay, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. But just like that, all of a sudden, boom, connection severed when you're in a one-on-one conversation with somebody. Emily and I, my wife, Emily, we do this to each other all the time. Like I get home from work. We put Trip to bed. We get Luke settled and fed. We eat dinner. And sometimes when we're eating dinner, both of us are just on our phone, just scrolling through Instagram and not connecting with each other. And then after dinner, we just get on the couch and then we just scroll through YouTube or something like that and just not even connect with each other. And that is the problem because we're addicted to the dopamine rush of the immediate gratification of a like, the immediate gratification of seeing something new. And let me tell you the most addicting form of social media right now for me, TikTok. Oh my gosh, TikTok they figured out how to get you addicted. I had to delete TikTok because I was sucked in. It would be like, oh, I'm just going to be on TikTok for like 3 minutes. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, I'm still on it. What in the world? I don't even like watching TV for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm over here watching TikTok. It's crazy. It's okay though. All right, sidetrack. But so anyway, I want to talk about and kind of wrap up this section on the pushback. What is greater than connection on social media? Greater is connection in person. And what's greater than a connection in person? It's a relationship with God. And so that's what we want to emphasize for you who are listening. That is social media stealing your time away from God and your neighbors and the people that are present in your life, then maybe there are things that you need to change about social media for yourself. And that's just where we would want to push back and say, hey, we affirm that social media connects people, but we want to push back and say, if it's stealing from your relationship with God and stealing from your relationship with your friends and family members and the people in your life now, it might be a good idea to put some restrictions and boundaries. What do you think?
No, I'm right there with you. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a challenge. I would say that too, because if you're so used to going to your phone in the morning to like be able to pull out your Bible and read or pray, that's going to be a challenge because you're not going to get that instant gratification.
Right.
So be aware of that. It's going to be, but everyone who like I've talked to who does have that morning devotion time, or it doesn't have to be in the morning necessarily, but like that time they would not give up for anything. So it is valuable. You're not going to feel it right away, but it's intimacy with Jesus. It's the most valuable thing you can do.
Yeah. And so the movie, the Social Dilemma documentary, they give us some advice. And I actually like it. One of the things they said was turn off your notifications on Instagram and Facebook. So if you have a smartphone and you have those, maybe turn them off. Turn them off on your email. Just make it a habit so that your body doesn't feel a vibration every time you get a notification and you get a dopamine rush and you can't help but grab it and look. So like they said, turn off those notifications. Those things will be there when you check it, whenever you check it. And then the other thing they said was there's an app or a way, there's apps and there's ways on your settings to create screen time restrictions where you can set 20-minute times. Like, hey, I just want to spend 20 minutes on Facebook a day. You set that up and create boundaries. They really said boundaries are such a great way because you want social media to be a tool. You don't want social media to run your life. So just let it be a tool that you use. Don't let it run your life. And then the other thing they said as well is and this is where it's like if you can live without social media, you should.
Wow.
And so at the end of the Netflix documentary, they talked about, at the beginning we said, they were asked a question, would they let their kids use social media? The things that these tech gurus created, would you let your kids have them? And every single one of them said, no way. And they were asked, do any of them have an account? And they said, none of them have social media accounts. So let that just sink in for a minute.
Wow.
The people who created it and who thought that it was going to be a good thing for relational connection are saying,
No.
Yeah. They draw the line with their own children because they've seen it in themselves and they don't want it for their kids. And maybe you listening feel the same way. And maybe it would be a good idea to just take a break from social media. Maybe it'd be a good idea to maybe just have one social media account.
And like you said, Mikey, boundaries is your way to freedom in this. Boundaries is this tool that is actually going to give you more power and more freedom.
Right.
It's not going to it's going to restrict what you can do, but it's going to open up so many doors in who you are. So, yeah. Well, Mikey.
Well, Jason, I love talking to you. Let it be known.
To you.
Let it be known.
Woo! Oh, wow.
Wow, power.
I don't know what that was.
So get off your social media device.
But watch this.
But watch this. But watch this on YouTube and Instagram, and be sure
to follow us on all these
on Facebook
and check
too.
it every day.
Check it every single day.
Spend your 20 minutes.
Leave your notifications for Seven Rivers Student Ministry on. Okay, just kidding. Hey, if you have to cut us out of your life in order to gain back some control in your life, do it.
Wait, hold up, Mikey. I just got something.
Oh, sorry. Jason has a text. He can't talk.
Oh, okay.
All right, we love you guys. You matter to us. We'll see you next time. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Culture Cast, where we engage culture with the gospel. If you have any questions, or maybe you have a favorite song that you would want us to talk about, or a movie or Netflix show that we could maybe bring into this podcast, we would love to. So you can reach out to us at srsm@sevenrivers.org. That's srsm@sevenrivers.org. Send us an email, and we'll engage with that content that you offer us, or any questions or concerns that you have. If you also want to find out more about our ministry, Seven Rivers Student Ministry, you can go to sevenrivers.org/students.
We love you guys. You matter to us, and you're lovable through a relationship with Jesus.